Hello there. My name is Associate Professor Zhou, and today I'm honored to be invited as a keynote speaker of the conference. Actually, before I was elected as the president of Tsinghua University, I was working as the English teacher for the K-12 education and for university education for almost 8 years. So today I'm very happy that I can get back to my old role and share my thought and some ideas with the distinguished scholars here. If my speech or if my presentation can trigger some thought of yours or trigger some discussion, I think it will be my honor. So right now, please let me show my screen first. Okay, so right now, my topic's innovative approaches to nurturing global citizenship through English teaching. Right now, actually, we have a very mutual understanding is that we are living in a village. This village is so big that the whole globe is in it. In the village, the people can communicate or do a lot of things together, but then we need some mutual currencies and almostly we need some mutual languages to discuss and understand each other. So what kind of language can be a lingua franca? I think there's only be English. Why? Because English and the Chinese actually is the most welcomed or most popular spoken languages in this world. But the problem of Chinese is most of the Chinese speakers, they are native speakers, which means most of them the Chinese speakers live in China. It's not worldwide, so it's not a good way to do the worldwide communication. But for English, more than two-thirds of the English speakers, they are non-native speakers. So which means all of us learn English as our communication tools to communicate with any other world, any other people around the world. So I think this will be the perfect tool to do the communication. So why we need the global citizens? Because we are opening doors to a world, not only us, but all over the world must be doing business, do the communication to the world. That's the need for us to use English. But as an English teacher, then how we can train our student to be ready to face this world and use English as a tool, a communication tool. I mean, basically, from the teaching method, we always mention about we need to understand the global and cultural issues or any others, which is not wrong. I show in my PPT already. But how we can do it? I mean, it becomes to the nature of teaching. What is teaching or what is the thing we try to teach to the student? In Chinese perspective, a lot of time our English teacher or any other teachers just ask a student to sit still and open their brain to as the receiver to receive all the knowledge that teacher trying to transfer to them. And in some Western culture perspectives, the student must be more active and to learn by themselves. And most importantly is how to use English like a skill, which both teaching method, I should say there's no wrong, but what is behind the knowledge and the skill? I think it is the way we see the world, the way how we identify the things, and what kind of perspective we can see from one thing or others. That is every teaching we're aiming to. So behind our English teaching, behind our knowledge and skills, actually we want to make students to understand their new identity is to they need to be act like the global citizen or more like the international prospect. So we need to make them understand what is the global and the cultural issues. And most importantly, during our teaching, we must cultivate them to be fit in their new identity. Just as I said, we were living in a global village. Before we were taught, actually, when I grow up, and I guess a lot of the scholars present when we grow up, actually, we were taught in a small classroom, and what we concern is only about our classroom, a bigger, our city, even bigger, our country. But to the world, that is a very far identity for all of us. But right now, everything happens so fast, and we need to be ready to be a international talent. International talent must, number one is you must make clear about your identity, who you are. You are not a boy from China. You are not a girl from Pakistan. You are not a girl from, you're not a boy from Korea anymore. Yes, your original identity is still you are Chinese, you are Korean, you are Pakistani, but your mind is becoming more and more international. So global citizenship fosters social responsibility, empowering students to believe they can prove the world. This is what we always trying to do with the student, because the student right now, their working opportunities are not limited into very one specific city anymore. They can transfer all over the world. But before that, just as I thought, in our teaching, we must make them ready. So then how we can make our teaching better to help the student be ready for their new identities? Do we need to have we always heard this word revolution. What is the identity of a revolution? In my definition, revolution is more like tear everything down and build everything new. But in our teaching, actually, we cannot do that. Of course, some of the modern communities or some highly developed countries, they can do that to build a new system to do it. But most of us, we cannot do some so-called revolution. We only can do is upgrading. What is upgrading? We upgrade our teaching materials, we upgrade our teaching strategies, we upgrade our homework, we upgrade our curriculum, but most importantly, we must upgrade ourselves, which is the teacher ourselves. Even, I mean, only if we getting better, our student can get better. So literally, we grow up with the student. So what kind of thing we can upgrade? So I just have some examples. I know all of the attendances are the experts. So here I just want to trigger some of your thought about it. Let's say number one is diverse reading materials. Before, our reading materials always like the literature things, but when we talk about literature, or always the common people always have a sense of literature, which means something already passed. It's not new, it's not fresh. But right now, why we don't get some fresh, get some new things for the student to read and cultivate their perspective of things in our reading and our teaching materials. And also for our teaching strategies, we always use case studies, which we for a long time. But case studies, remember what I'm trying to say, upgrade. We upgrade our teaching studies to multicultural. It is more easy to upgrade than revolution, because I mean, all the teaching patterns are there. Every teaching pattern, we cannot say is useless. Every teaching pattern is useful when we put it into the right place and use the right material to match it. So right now, we also can do some multicultural case studies or global current event discussions. These are all the things we're trying to do before, but right now we can add something new, multicultural and a global perspective. And the international pen pal, just as I mentioned, the pen pal program is a very old-fashioned pattern of teaching, but right now, is it outdated? As far as I see, no. I think we can also make international pen pal programs. And right now, thanks to the modern technologies, we have more ways to find pen pal safely and more efficiently. So what is the teaching material and what we trying to deliver to our student? Our student, when they were not only polishing their teaching, their speaking skills or their writing skills, or they are not trying to understand more knowledges, but more importantly, just as I mentioned, we just cultivate them to think differently, to think diversely, sorry. And of course, if the student were put in a international circumstances, here I just want to proudly see in our Okinawa University, actually more than 60% of our students are international students. So we are so happy we can provide a diversity and a very multicultural environment for our students already. In this kind of circumstances, the student must sort multicultural and must understand. And firstly is understand. The second step is accept. Third is respect. I do believe this is a 3-step toward multicultural recognize. And of course, we can use the different examples and encourage sharing cultural experiences. But there's one thing we must pay attention. Some culture don't encourage students to express themselves, like Chinese, like Japanese, as far as I can see, or like a Far East Asian country, actually Korea, Japanese, Chinese, we were taught from we are kid, do not disagree with your teachers or do not try to say no. But in this kind of situation, there's a new challenge for our lecturers, our teachers to avoid or try to smoothen the conflict. How? For example, we can ask them write on the paper and be anonymously, because we were so afraid as a Chinese. Sometimes I also were afraid to assign my name on some different opinion things, and I'm getting shy to speak it out. But sometimes I can write. So this is only one way. It's not one of the best ways, but I do believe all the all the tendencies, you might have more excellent ideas than me. And these are all the skills, but we, just as I say, we add up the new perspective, trying to teach them. So we are trying to, especially for Asian students, we are taught to accept the knowledge, not analyze the knowledge. Analyze the knowledge is the thing when we grow up, but how we can develop informed opinions to well-grounded. So we must, number one, we can use the practice media literacy, which means right now it's a digital era. We have a lot of digital tools to help us, and actually the student also would like to use it. Personally, I do believe leave all the digital gadgets away from the classroom is not a wise choice. Everybody cannot leave digital gadgets right now, and we must learn how to use it wisely. Also, we need help our student to use it wisely. And this is something that we also can do debates on global issues, role-playing international scenarios. These are all, just as I said, patterns. The patterns are old, but the material or the target or the perspective we practice is new. This I call it upgrade. It's not a revolution. Creating solution for global challenges or something like that. And when we cultivated the students about their own thought, I think we can use Socratic questioning pattern, which means we do not directly tell the student what it is the answer. We lead them, we give them the lead, we question them, we help them to cultivate. It's more like a sculpture, one bit by a bit. We help the student to cultivate their answers out from their mind. I think this is called a individual thought. But of course, this one is, to be very frankly, it's quite hard to be practiced in a traditional classroom because especially the K-12, because in K-12 education, the outcome oriented, which means we need to give the student a good exam result. Based on this, it's very hard to practice. But in a university, especially in a international university, I think this sporadic questioning pattern, we must apply it in every English taking class, especially for those students are not English majored. They need to express themselves more well, and we can help them to build their thought more clearly by this kind of ways. And we also can ask a student to do reflective journaling, which means to write down what I thought, what I get, or what I lost. Very frankly, Asian people, Asian students, we are good at it. We are good at it. But we must make this like a habit. This is difficult, but it's worth trying. And this is something more bigger, is global issue research projects. As a president of international universities, I always say that all our staff and student must learn how to do research. Here, research is not a high fancy thing. Research is more like the ideology to how to discover the things happen. So we must let the student to know what they can do when they face a problem that sometimes they cannot be solved by their own. Team up, do the research, and find a solution. I think this is what we can do. So in closing, as English educators, I do believe all the attendances in and the discretionary scholars in this conference, you already have your own thought, but never mind to have another thought to be reflected. And we always can find something new during what we are listening. To draw a conclusion to what I discussed, I think uh, what I'm trying to say is number one, our our lecturers or our English teachers should be grown up with our student. When we're trying to teach something new to our student, we also be a new me to teach them. Number two, I comparing to revolution, I would rather to upgrading because all the pattern we use are traditional. There do have something new pattern into our teaching pattern, but most of them we use it every day and we use it maybe 20 years ago and we use it now, but we upgrade we upgrade. We upgrade our materials, we upgrade our strategies, we upgrade the teaching patterns. Most importantly, we upgrade our mind. We upgrade our mind into multi-perspective thought and make the student ready and embrace it. So this is what I try to say and try to share today. Thank you very much, and thank you for listening. Thank you.